Oh, hi, Karl Frisch. Good morning, sir. Hi.
Good morning. I just learned so much, and as the G.I. Joe cartoon said in my day, I learned a lot, and knowing is half the battle.
That is.
That's right.
Yes, it is.
I don't think they do that anymore, do they? They used to publish everyone's height and weight.
Yeah,
so you
no.
would go, oh, Jamie Summers, how much is Farrah Fawcett? How much? Oh my God, I'm
No, I
never
think
gonna.
the
I'm
closest
never
we've
gonna
come to that over the.
I'm never gonna find a husband. I'm 120. Oh my God, we're so.
I think the
up.
closest we've come to that in recent years was Donald Trump announcing that he was 210 pounds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Those numbers are never accurate.
Yes.
He was 8 feet tall, 210 pounds.
Uh-huh. Yeah, like dear leader.
Okay, Karl.
Largest hands this size of the Mississippi.
Can we just focus on the? Okay, I don't know which most alarming thing from which most alarming book alarms you most this morning, but I'm going to say the ordering of a military coup to overthrow the United States should be perhaps of some concern this morning. Your thoughts?
When your own Joint Chiefs of Staff is worried, at least it underscores what we were all feeling at the time, a sense of dread and worry that the worst could happen. But unfortunately, I don't think this is going to do anything to the minds of people who've made up their mind that they would have been fine with Trump doing that. And that's what we have to watch out for.
Well,
thankfully, there were some adults in the room.
Karl, I was just going to say, you have my family, your family's former party, the Republican Party. Joy Reid summed it up. Today's Republican menu: book bans and government-mandated patriotic education consisting of bland euphemisms and pro-state lies, anti-voter laws allowing overturning elections, cash bounties to spy on pregnant women, force reproduction, violent revolution to maintain control. What part of this should we not be hair on fire about? Because you're right, it is not just Trump. I mean, do we even get to that yesterday, the Texas law? It's not just a fetal heartbeat. It's to rat out people that you think might have had an abortion. I mean, we are full on in Handmaid's Tale meets fascist autocracy. I can't really speak. Help me. You speak now, Karl. Just speak.
Well, they used to say the era of big government was over, but this is another thing altogether. This is not just big government, it's big brother, it's big sister, it's big Trump. This is what they want. They want a complete government takeover, and they need to be at the helm in their head. And that's what they're after. None of this is ideological anymore. This is not about tax cuts and limited government. This is not about a strong national defense. This is about authority, and that should frighten us all.
Let's review this, shall we? Could I have some? Do you have fatherland? Something?
Tomorrow belongs to me.
Yeah, tomorrow belongs to me. Something cheery. In the waning weeks of Trump's term, the country's top military leader repeatedly worried about what the president might do to maintain power after losing re-election, comparing his rhetoric to Adolf Hitler's during the rise of Nazi Germany and asking confidants whether a coup was forthcoming. Karl, wasn't this just us crazy leftists were, accused of these crazy hyperbole and, Nazi analogies? This is Donald Trump's Joint Chief of Staff, right? This is
right.
General
Let's
Milley.
Underscore that. Bold, italics, underscore. This is the person Donald Trump chose as his Joint Chiefs.
Right.
This is not some liberal out of nowhere,
right,
left over from Biden and Obama. This was Trump's person.
Those of us that were hysterical and accused of hyperbole and whatever during this whole period, right, we really understated it. Didn't we? As Trump ceaselessly pushed false claims, I'm reading, about the 2020 presidential election, General Mark Milley, chairman of the Joint Chiefs, grew more and more nervous, telling aides he feared the president and his acolytes might attempt to use the military to stay in office. He described a stomach-churning feeling as he listened to Trump's untrue complaints of election fraud, drawing a comparison to the 1933 attack on Germany's parliament building that Hitler used as a pretext to establish a Nazi dictatorship. Did that just make your blood run cold? Because it did me. this is a Reichstag moment, Milley told aides, the gospel of the Fuhrer. So he attended a security briefing about the Million MAGA March, a pro-Trump rally protesting the election. Milley said he feared an American equivalent of brown shirts in the streets, alluding to the paramilitary forces that protected Nazi rallies and enabled Hitler's ascent. Late that same evening, according to the book, an old friend called Milley to express concerns that those close to Trump were attempting to overturn the government. I swear to God, I feel like I'm going to vomit. You are one of the few guys who are standing between us and some really bad stuff, the friend told Milley. Milley was shaken. He called former National Security Advisor H.R. McMaster to ask whether a coup was actually imminent. What in the am I dealing with? Milley asked him. The conversations put Milley on edge. He began informally planning with other military leaders, strategizing how they would block Trump's order to use the military in a way they deemed dangerous or illegal. If someone wanted to seize control, Milley thought they would need to gain sway over the FBI, the CIA, and the Defense Department, where Trump had already installed staunch allies. They may try, but they're not going to succeed, said Milley. In the weeks that followed, Milley played reassuring soothsayer to a string of concerned Congress members and administration officials who shared their worries about Trump attempting to use the military to stay in office. Everything's going to be okay, he said. We're going to have a peaceful transfer of power. We're going to land this plane safely. This is America. It's strong. The institutions are bending, but it won't break. In December, the rumor circulating the president was preparing to fire then CIA Director Gina Haspel, replace her with Trump loyalist Kash Patel. Milley sought to intervene. He confronted the White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows. He said, what the hell's going on here? What are you guys doing? Meadows said, don't worry about it. Milley shot him a warning. Just be careful. After the failed insurrection, Nancy Pelosi called Milley to ask him to guarantee Trump would not be able to launch a nuclear strike and start a war. This guy's crazy, Pelosi said. He's dangerous. He's a maniac. Milley said, ma'am, I guarantee you we have checks and balances in the system. Less than a week later, as they were planning for the inauguration, Milley said he was determined to avoid a repeat of the siege on the Capitol. He said, everyone in this room, whether you're a cop, you're a soldier, we're going to stop these guys to make sure we have a peaceful transfer of power. We're going to put a ring of steel around the city, and the Nazis aren't getting in. Biden's swearing in. He was seated next to Barack Obama and Michelle, who asked the general how he was feeling. No one has a bigger smile than I do today, said Milley. You can't see it under my mask, but I do.
Oh, my God.
I mean... But for one guy, perhaps, Karl, here or there, one guy here or there, we were this close.
Oh, it's not just one, and you can guarantee there will be additional books coming out in the weeks and months ahead that share similar stories from people inside the White House. And what we have to do is weigh these things out, see what they have to say. This obviously jives with what we were seeing from the outside. And I'm grateful for anybody who stood up to Trump in these final days of his administration. I do wish people had stood up earlier to him. You know, the last 2 months of his administration were certainly awful, but they were not the only bad thing that happened during this administration.
Karl, I feel like Glenn Kirshner is absolutely right. He has to go to prison. This is, this is not just some crazy liberals throwing around Hitler analogies. This is that our democracy held by this much, by a thread. And this is what we keep saying. Everyone's like, oh, you're crazy about Hitler had a failed coup and they didn't punish him. And then obviously the rest is history.
Look what happened.
So
I
that's
think,
what I'm saying.
I think the first part of this.
Do you think, I guess my question to you, Karl, is do you think this is going to move the needle at the DOJ or wherever it needs to, that we need to hold this to account? This is just, okay. To me,
these types of stories in this book need to be on the record legally.
They do.
Right? They can't be reported out from a source.
Right.
They need to be on the record.
Yes,
and
I hope he needs
that
to go in front of Congress now, General Milley, don't you think?
Or the Justice Department, either way, whichever one is most likely to get a conviction.
Yeah. Yes. I mean, I do get it that it's almost like we talk about a fire hose, but there's so many crimes. It's like just this morning with the Kremlin news that basically confirmed everything in the Mueller report and the Senate intelligence report. I mean, that he started a traitor and he ended a traitor. He remains a traitor.
Mm-hmm.
I am a traitor.
I can't.
He's a party of one, and it's always been about him.
Yeah.
And so none of this should be a surprise. But at the end of the day, accountability needs to happen. And they say the wheels of justice move slowly, and I hope that's what we're seeing here. that we just don't realize that they're moving behind the scenes.
Well, he's still doing it. I mean, that's the problem.
Right.
We have to stop it
Right.
because the coup is ongoing. He is repeating the big lie. He is inciting violence. I mean, oh my God, talk about, by the way, Karl, all the stories becoming one. I know you're dealing with, on the school board, kids going back to school. Well, it appears we're on a full-on wave this is of COVID because of unvaccinated people egged on by Fox News and Russia, Russian trolls online to remain on. We have a Delta variant, and now there's, what is this story, Travis? That, for God's sakes, what do you call it? These right-wing militias are now recruiting anti-vaxxers.
Yeah.
Because far right regroups around anti-vax theories after Capitol riot flop. Far right militias are regrouping around anti-vaccines conspiracy theories, experts say. It appears designed to replenish the ranks after the Capitol riot threw the movement into disarray. Insiders flagged a prominent militia group selling anti-vax T-shirts, which Facebook removed. But they're, oh my God, it's all becoming one horrible story about people that do not have America's best interests at heart.
Let's make sure that we're clear that even with the Delta variant, if you are fully vaccinated, the odds that you get this and are fine are very high. If you get the Delta variant and are fully vaccinated, you will likely be fine.
We have kids. We have kids in Mississippi, is it?
Oh,
or Missouri,
my point.
Intubated in the ICU with Delta variant. Sorry.
Well, and we're hearing that the vaccine for ages 2 and up will be available this September, but this should be a call to everybody to do their part and get vaccinated. Even if and if you are vaccinated, make sure everybody in your extended circle is vaccinated. Continue to do mitigation strategies to the best of your ability. And then the thing I would also point out is that it's no longer just about COVID. We've seen movements in some states where Republican state legislators are intervening with departments of health to keep school divisions from offering vaccination and also to undermine other vaccinations. So it's no longer just about COVID. It's about any vaccinations that are required.
Yeah. Well, Dr. Redlener, as you know, is a renowned pediatrician. We're going to talk to him about what all this means. I'm sure you're grappling with it too on the school board, what all this means, unvaccinated people, the Delta variant. I don't get how it's workable in school, because I know in some places they're saying, well, if you're vaccinated, you don't have to wear a mask. But that's chaos. How do you know who? Some, teachers, some kids are vaxxed, some aren't. We don't know. It just seems.
Well, I'm fortunate to live in a dark blue area where we have a very large vaccinated population.
Yeah.
And our schools had very few transmissions of the virus when we were back to normal. So I'm hopeful for the fall. But again, this is going to come down to all of us doing our part.
Yeah.
And what you're going to see is that the areas where this is happening the worst are the areas where there's vaccine hesitancy and conspiracies about the vaccine.
And one doctor pointed out, Karl, those are the areas that aren't going to do any of the other stuff. They aren't going to do any of the masking or distancing in the first place, and they're not going to get vaccinated. So it's a perfect storm, and I'm having a nervous breakdown. It's good to see you. Goodbye.
Well, at least you've got a cute puppy.
Yes, Steve Austin is adorable.
He's so fluffy I could die.
Yes.
Okay.
How dare Steve Austin arrive after I visit the studio?
Right?
No, I'm sorry. The Colonel is not on time. Love you. Mwah.